Hey everyone, this is Lithiyum bringing you the video to my Fastball guide. In this video I'll be explaining the gear, gems, build, paragon points, and basic gameplay that surrounds this build, followed by a greater rift of gameplay footage. Let's get right into it, starting with the gear. For this build you'll need 5-piece Delsiers, consisting of boots, legs, gloves, shoulders, and chest piece. Your off piece will be the crown of the Primus. For rings, you'll want a royal ring of grandeur and a convention of elements. For a neck, you'll probably want a moonlight ward, although it's not required. Any neck with arcane skills is fine. For your bracers and belt, you'll need a pair of Ransler's Follies, and a witching hour is ideal, but not required. For your weapons, you'll want a well-rolled Gesture of Orpheus, Ancient Preferred with arcane skills, and a Triumvirate. For your legendary gems, you'll want Bane of the Trapped, Molten Wildebeest Gizzard, and Z's Stone of Vengeance. Moving on to the skills, the build is pretty simple. Magic Missile with Glacial Spike, Arcane Orb with Obliteration, Slow Time, the rune doesn't matter which one you pick because of the Crown of the Primus, Energy Twister with Wicked Wind, so you can group mobs together using your Ransler's Folly, Magic Weapon with Force Weapon, and Energy Armor with Force Armor, which prevents you from essentially getting one shot. The passives you'll want to run are Glass Cannon, Astral Presence, Unstable Anomaly, and Prodigy. Moving into the Paragon points, for core, you'll want to cap out your movement speed, followed by adding in points to intelligence. In offense, you'll want critical hit damage, critical hit chance, and attack speed, which actually synergizes quite well with Prodigy in this build. For defense, you'll want armor, followed by percent life, and resist all. And in utility, area damage, resource cost reduction, and life on hit. Now I'm going to explain some very basic gameplay. This build revolves around the damage buff that Triumvirate gives, so keeping that buff up is essential. The next thing you have to worry about is keeping slow time down. If you stand in it, due to the Crown of the Primus, you'll gain a 10% attack speed buff, which is pretty nice for keeping your stacks up. The other thing to note that's important in this build is grouping up enemies. You'll need to drop slow time to stun them, and then you'll want to drop an energy twister to group them all up. Finally, you'll want to blast arcane orbs into them. This will annihilate the pack and make sure that you move on without getting hurt. The next thing I'll explain is the ring cycle, which you'll need to actually pay attention to when you're DPSing. As you can see down here on the bottom, you have the buff from Convention of the Elements. During 2 of these cycles you'll be spending, and during the other 2 you'll be gaining arcane power. During Arcane, obviously you will be spending your arcane power on orbs. During Cold, you'll be casting Glacial Spike to gain arcane power back. During Fire, you'll be spending again, and during Lightning you'll be gaining arcane power back again using Glacial Spike. The reason for this is you want to take advantage of the increased arcane damage, followed by the increased cold damage for Glacial Spike, and then the other 2 are just simply so that you can spend your resource without capping, which would result in a damage loss. That's pretty much it for this part of the guide. I hope it was helpful, and I'll be doing a rift to show this build in action shortly.